Facebook, I saw a post from one of my teachers from back in middle school, and she says, "Look, everybody, this is our entire middle school library." And I'm like, what? She's like, "Please, if you have any books available, could you donate them to our library?" And so I messaged her and was like, "Oh my gosh, what do you have?" She says that they have one very old copy of Hatchet, a few, but not all, of the Harry Potters. They used to have the Redwall books, but they got taken by a student who loved them too much to return them. And so Timmy and I thought this would be a really good opportunity for us because we have a ton of old books that we're just unable to get rid of because they were from our childhood, but we don't really think that we're ever going to read them again. And so we're going to make a video of this, and I'm going to feature all of those books in this video so that if I ever want to purchase them again for my home library, or if I ever have children, I'll be able to do that. But for now, I really believe that they're better off being in the hands of children than sitting and collecting dust on my shelf. So we're going to be going through all of our books, and we've actually gotten rid of a ton already, so the ones that we have are really just the ones that are very special to us or very meaningful to us when we were kids. And then there's also a quarter sale going on at page 42, which is a bookstore. So they've got over 10,000 books for sale right now for a quarter each. And we're going to be going to that this morning, and this Facebook post was made last night, so I'm pretty surprised by how well that lined up. So we're going to be going. Hopefully we can get a bunch of kids' books that meant something to us, or middle school books that meant something to us. I really don't want to just get like a ton of random middle school books, because if their library is so small, I don't want to like fill the excess with like subpar or just kind of lame books. So we'll see what we can find. Here we are, headed down to page 42. I'm super excited. There's a lot of cars parked here, and it looks like there's quite a few people there, so hopefully there's some goods left for us.
She's going to buy some books. Doesn't she look cute?
So Timmy and I have gone through the entire outside area that's set up right now, and we've got a lot of Animorphs, a lot of good things from our childhood. So right now we're going through the inside, and most of them are between $2 and $5. So we're going to be able to get a lot from here as well. Got my mom and Sky here getting some books too. We're heading off right now. Before we left, the owner came over and he donated a whole extra series of Diary of a Wimpy Kid and a bunch of other books as well. And another lady also donated $10 who was in line, who heard what we were doing. So we are super stoked. Timmy has a giant box as well. There's even more in the car, and they're all really awesome, exciting middle school books. So this is what we have so far that we got at the quarter sale. inside of page 42 that was donated to us from the owner of page 42 and from the woman who was in line whose name I did not get, and from my parents as well. So now we're going to start going through our bookshelf.
The Redwall books have a really special place in my heart because Tris was the first book that I ever bought with my own money, and The Bellmaker was the first book I ever cried when I read.
How old were you, do you think, with both of them?
Tris, I think I was 13, and when I read Bellmaker, I was probably 15 or 16.
So this one has kind of a funny story with it. Timmy had me take it to work one day, so I brought my book and I was reading it, and a nurse came into the room and was like, "What are you reading? Looks like a nerdy book." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, it's not nerdy. I'm just reading it because my husband had me read it. But, I mean, I really loved it, so I shouldn't have said that." And she laughed and goes, "Yep, you're reading a nerdy book," and just smiled and left.
This is our full collection of what Brian Jacques has written. It's the tip of the iceberg for how much he's actually written. And the Redwall series that he wrote, I think, is probably the best fantasy reading for someone between the ages of 12 and 16. It's right up there with like the Harry Potter books and any other young adult series like that. They're such wonderful fantasy stories.
These ones are really hard for me to get rid of because I had some Redwall books when I was a kid, and my dad passed them on to me. But like my dad said, they really shouldn't be sitting on a shelf. They're such beautiful books with such good morals in them, and they should be read by kids nowadays instead of sitting on my shelf. And then like Timmy said, we're not getting rid of them, we're passing them on, and that kind of made me more at peace with it. I don't know why this book hit me so hard. It's definitely scary. It's about two kids that get taken to an island. They're both starting to transform into different animals, and their animals, one is in the sky and one is in the sea. It felt like a horror book to me at that time, but which it'll probably feel like a horror book to the middle schoolers who are going to read it, but honestly it's really cool. So I actually didn't read the Harry Potter series until I was 20 years old, and when I read them they made me feel just like a kid again. I read them over the summer, and in between working I would pretty much just read them nonstop, and they're just so incredibly beautiful and made me feel like a child at heart again. The Last Unicorn. This was my favorite book for a very long time. I've cried reading it multiple times because I think it's so beautiful and just such a peak in fantasy reading world. Sky got this for me because I'm hedgehog obsessed and it's about hedgehogs, but confession time, I never actually read it. And now I'll know if Sky has watched this video, because if she has, she's going to get on to me for never reading it. Mari, why are you in the book box? What are you gonna do in there?
I'd read him if he was a book.
He's the most special, precious book in the world. Oh, yeah. Oh, he's wet. He's drooling.
He's just happy.
He's a happy boy.
Happy boy.
Timmy and I are here to meet up with a friend. She's gonna bring us a box of books. I've known her since high school, so 10 years or longer.
I feel the gray hairs.
I know, we're old. Not really. But she was super nice and saw my Facebook post and told me that she'd be happy to support, and even shared my post and said if you guys can't share to Orient School District, then you can always donate to your local schools. These are just some of the amazing things that Esther gave us for the Orient School District. There's also some elementary kids books in there. It's got Little House in the Big Woods, which I think is an essential read for kids in middle school. And then it also has a huge amount of the Boxcar Children in it, which is one that I was hoping that I would be able to find while we were out searching the other day, and I wasn't able to get any. This made me so happy when I saw it that I literally squealed. In Esther's box of donations, she had Mouse Tales by Arnold Lobel, and I freaked out and went and grabbed my copy of Mouse Soup. This is a book that my dad used to read to me, and this actually was one of the few books that I just couldn't get rid of because I love it so much and I'm going to keep it for the rest of my life. I'm going to be reading this one before I send it over to Orient School District, which it's a children's book, so I mean, it's not like it should take me that long. My little sister Sky just donated us this huge giant bag full of books that I can't even lift, so we're gonna dig through them real quick. The Stones Are Hatching is a book that went from Timmy to me to Sky, and we've all read it and we all love it, so we're excited to get rid of that one. Michael Crichton, maybe a little too dense for most kids, but you know what? There's always kids out there that are reading at like a college god tier level, and most of them are probably at Orient, so they'll get those. The Warriors books, Sky loves the Warriors. Minecraft handbooks, which is awesome. I am Pusheen the cat. Oh, another Twilight, that's okay. Warcraft? What in tarnation? Where did she get that? 2 full sets of the Little House on the Prairie series, which is so awesome because I used to love reading these books and dream of living in a little cabin and blowing up a pig's bladder to play with because I've got no toys. I've still never done that, but I don't feel like I really missed out on anything, I guess. These are great. The Hobbit, more Warriors. Ooh, more Warriors. Sky, like myself, is a tender-hearted lover of animals. And I will forever appreciate that about her. This is great. Oh my God! Hank the cow dog! Hank the cow dog carried me single-pawedly through my childhood. My parents are gonna kick my butt for saying that. I don't mean it. All I mean is that I love Hank the cow dog. He's a farm dog. He takes care of the farm. One of my favorite quotes of Hank's that my dad and I have said probably 20 to 30 times this year. There are only 11 words in the chicken language, and 10 of them mean help. When Timmy and I went through our library, we found a bunch of more adult books, but also just textbooks. So we are going to go around town to as many little free libraries as we can, and we're going to trade our books for ones that are going to be appropriate for middle school students.
If you're not familiar with Little Free Libraries, they are community-based projects where one person donates a small piece of their yard. They can build almost like a tree house just for books, which is really cute. It's just a little floating building on a pole where people can take a book and leave a book.
It's a good thing that Timmy is really good at navigation and reading maps, because I hate to say this, but the Little Free Library map that is available is terrible. We're at our first Little Free Library in town, and this one actually looks a lot different than I've ever seen before. It looks like it opens from the top, like a newspaper thing, which is super cool. This is our second little free library that we're at. Super cute. Wonder if they have any good kids stuff.
Goodbye, kanji book.
And they're getting a kanji book in return. Sorry about that.
So the little free libraries that we're going to out in the valley. See what it's got. This one has a super cute little bench right by it. I assume for you to trade in your book and then relax and read a little bit. Let's see what we have.
The last little free library.
On our hunt for little free libraries, guess who we came across? A whole ding-dang family of turkeys. Look at them all. Turk, 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 turk. There he goes.
So we had a lot of luck going through the little free libraries, and we had a lot of fun because it was kind of like a scavenger hunt or geocaching or something. So I'm going to show you the books that we got. Pirates of the Caribbean, Ice Swords, An Undersea Adventure, Mercedes Lackeys, The Last Herald Mage, Book 1, 2, and 3. We accidentally got Return of the King again, The Martian, The Time Bike, Ratchet and Clank, the movie novel, Catching Fire, which there's 2 other books, Return of the Indian, Saddle Club Writing Camp, which is one that was in my middle school library, Hardy Boys Classic, and The Nutcracker. That is all. It's really hard to get rid of books, but they've just been sitting on my shelf. A child reading them for the first time is absolutely going to benefit the most from these. This is the best way that books can go, is being given to a library, especially a school library where people really truly need them, you know? Beer, 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 beer.